Well, hello, everybody. Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And today I want to talk about a couple things. We had some comments come in from especially some of the men out there from my last podcast when I talked about putting women on a pedestal. And one of the writers said, Larry, it's been a long time I've been married, and things just don't seem to be working the same like they used to. And it got me thinking. He asked, what kind of things do you think we could do to maybe spice things up a little bit or renew that thing when we were younger? And one of the things that I thought about was, when you're dating and you're going through the courting process, it's a little bit scary at first, because you don't know. You're always taking extra time, taking a few extra looks in the mirror, things like that. Is she going to notice this? Is she going to notice that? But it was a little bit scary at that time. And so we need to kind of get back to that a little bit. A little bit of scariness is a good thing sometimes because it keeps you on edge. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you motivated. It keeps you engaged because it also brings people together just like this. Listen.
In sleep he sang to me, in dreams he came, that voice which calls to me.
It's scary, scary.
And do I dream again?
This is such a great show. And that's where you want to be, guys. You want to be inside her mind. So this is how women work. Everything you need to know about how to touch a woman's mind is encapsulated in that song. So it's a phantom, it's a spirit, it's a feeling that women carry with them all throughout the day, thinking about their man and how wonderful it is and how special you make her feel when you're together. So you kind of got to get back to that early dating phase. And so with my theme of the Phantom of the Opera and the scary stuff and all like that, we get this reality of the world that takes over as we set up house and we go about our lives together. There's the outside world. There's the workaday rules that we have to follow. There's the codes of society. There's these expectations that are placed upon us. And this kind of takes this great energy that we have when we're dating and starting out a life together and deciding, yes, I am compatible with this person and we're going to make it together. We could do some great things. But then life kind of comes down and starts taking some of those exhilarating feelings away from you and starts placing them in a different category. So I like to think about your marriage and your relationship as being sort of like this snow globe reality, where the two of you have this certain reality that's amongst yourselves that's immune to the outside world as much as you can make it. It's your private relationship. It's your private feelings. It's this bond that you've built together. And that is kind of like in this protected snow globe of a reality as averse to the outside reality, which you both have to face, but you can always come back to the snow globe reality. Well, like any snow globe, as we all know, things settle and they don't move around, and you don't get the excitement within that snow globe unless you shake it up a little bit. Now, there's good ways to shake things up and there's bad ways to shake things up. Now, a bad way to shake things up may be in the form of if one of you gets hurt or has an illness, and the other person has to take on the role of not just lover, friend, and advocate and protecting spouse, but now of caregiver. And when this happens, that changes the dynamic, quite dynamically. I mean, I hate to but there's just so much that happens in that moment that the perfected snow globe reality that you had gets changed immediately, and now one of you becomes situationally dependent upon the other, and that changes the relationship dynamic a bit. So we have to be careful about that. I went through that when my wife got ill. I had to become her caregiver, and that changed things a bit. She, I think, was a little bit upset about that she had to rely upon me to do all sorts of things, like even washing her hair and setting her hair, making her set because she couldn't use her arms to do these things for herself. I gladly did it, but it changed her perceptions and feelings, and she thought that she was now dependent, and all these feelings she had been taught as a young girl and a young woman to be independent and to be fully capable were kind of diminished, and that was a hard thing to take. And I know that she wasn't unique in that situation, and I tried my best to try to defray some of that feeling, but I can only go so far with it, and you can too. So all you can do is try and keep making these loving gestures out there, like I talked about in the previous podcast about putting your woman on a pedestal by simple gestures, work, doing things that aren't asked about, but you just do it because it needs to be done. And this is a loving consideration that we have. So when we have the snow globe reality versus the real world reality going on, and you need to shake things up a little bit, I suggest a couple ways to go about it, and I'm going to talk about those. One of them is to do something scary, like the music there sort of suggested. Put yourself back in this concerned situation where you want to make sure that your partner's needs are being addressed, and it has to be mutual. So it wasn't just you that was scared going out dating. She was scared too, or vice versa. And so we need to try to continue to do things that are scary together, because that is a bonding situation. Like when the illness happens, or if something tragically happens in the family, that brings people together. And we don't want to have that. We want to have happy situations and positive situations that bring you together. And one of the things that I talk about a lot of times with my younger friends is to do things that are scary but rewarding. And, be doing something scary together might be going on a roller coaster ride. If one of you is upset about, movement and things like that, challenge those feelings. Go together, hold her hand, encourage her. But don't push her, but encourage her. So roller coasters can be scary that way and bring people together, because when they get off, they're always relieved and they go to each other, and there's lots of hand holding and hugging and stuff like that. Wow, that was so cool. It doesn't have to be so physical in that regard. It could be going out and trying a food that you've never tried before and may find a little bit unpalatable. Like going out and eating sushi. Not everybody's a fan because they haven't tried it and they don't know. And there's parts of sushi I can't stand, but there's other parts that I just love like heck. So, do things that kind of test you and stretch your limits a little bit together. And so it could be something simple like that. My favorite, though, is I'm a Second Amendment guy, and I always suggest to couples, to go to the gun range together. Now I say, oh, that's pretty rough. No, it's doing something. If you haven't fired a handgun or firearm training or things like that, go take a class together, or take it separately if you don't want to be in the same room with your spouse on that. But they have classes strictly for women to encourage them and empower them so they don't feel like they're diminished. And for men, can take a gun safety class too. I highly recommend it. And then go to the range together and practice. And be each other's fan. encourage each other. Say, honey, that was great. Look at that grouping you did. Man, you're getting better and better every week. This is fun. You're so good at this. And you can encourage each other that way. And what you're doing is you're taking on a new skill set that not only is challenging and rewarding, but it's also something that helps you be comfortable in your existence in this ever-changing world, which is getting to be so much more dangerous every day. Take the steps to protect yourself and be prepared. I'm not saying going out and be a vigilante, but I'm saying be prepared. You'll develop this great sense of confidence with each other. And so that's a good thing to try to do. So you'll find other things that might be scary, trying your aunt's chocolate cake or something like that, which if your aunt can't bake or whatever, it's, what's it going to be this time? Just little things together. I know that's ridiculous, but one of the other main things that you need to do with relationships is you have to remain physical with each other. And I'm not saying you got to go out and do things in public to, have something that might be inappropriate, but a simple gesture, walking along as men, put your hand on the small of her back, or across her butt, these types of things, guide her, as she's going through a doorway, help move her in. Those simple touches. The women, your hand on the man's shoulder a little bit as you're walking along, or if you're coming up to talk to him, coming in, connect yourself with him. Don't be standing off. Touch. Lots of touch. These are things you used to do when you were younger. You couldn't keep your hands off each other. It doesn't have to be overt. It can just be very subtle. It says, I care, and I want you to listen to me, and I want to hear what I have to say, and I want you to feedback. I want you to tell me what you think, type of thing. So this is opening the doors to more communication and understanding. In this day of the green thinking and saving the environment, water is such a precious resource. And one way we can is to share the shower. Benefits! Okay. You're saving the earth and you're connecting together. What could be better? Let's try that sometime, okay? Not with me, but, do your own thing. And finally, the last thing that's just such a simple thing to do, very, very simple, is to put these things away. Put it away. Have your alone time. Don't connect yourself with the outside world. Don't be running to every text message that comes through. Simplify. Just drop it down a little bit. Lower the volume so you can hear each other. And then when you do that, pop a bowl of popcorn, have a couple drinks or whatever, watch, some Netflix or something like that, catch something you haven't seen before or something you did see before and you just laughed your butt off. I love The Princess Bride. That is one movie I can watch at any point throughout that movie. You give me 5 minutes of watching that thing and I'm going to laugh at least 10 times. And that is just one of the, I think, best movies. Watching Wesley pursue his Princess Buttercup is just a great story of dedication and purity that is really such an enlightening story. And it's so easy. Kids can watch it. Couples can watch it together. You can watch it alone and then miss somebody that isn't there with you. It's just a great movie. But sit with each other, take some quiet time, and then hold hands and look at each other, gaze into each other's eyes. Be purposeful in that. Look and gaze and dwell in each other's eyes and reconnect that way. And then tell each other 3 things that you admire about them. 3 things that you watch them do and you admire how they go about it in their life. Don't be critical. These are things that you admire about them. So try to come up with 3 things when you're doing that. And if you're really in tune with this person, 3 things is going to be really simple. It's like the Doge people wanting 5 things that you did last week. If you can't come up with 5 things that you did in the course of performing your work duties, something's wrong. So, and it wasn't to try to check their work habits. It was just to see if they really existed. So this was, kind of like when you're doing things online and then you have to check the box, I'm not a robot. And then you got to pick out the 3 things that are cats in the 9 squares or whatever they give you. It's very simple. It was very much akin to that. A lot of people just blew that thing all out of proportion. So don't you blow things out of proportion in doing these little exercises. Try to come up with those 3 things that you admire about your spouse, and then see if that doesn't open some other doors to conversation and bonding that goes on, because you have to keep shaking up that snow globe. A settled snow globe is not much to look at, but when things are in motion in that relationship, then it's exciting and there's movement. Turn on the hot water. We're going to go to the shower next. So that's the kind of things you need to be thinking about. So in the meantime, work on these things. Get back with me. Tell me what you think about it. And remember, I love you, and I'll be back.